Welcome back in, guys, to the PPC Community Broadcast. Fawn, once again, joined here by Kresnik, as we're going to be going into the Brazilian bracket this time around. Europe was what we just witnessed. It was a little bit quicker than normal in terms of how sets should go, but I'm sure Brazil has a lot of high impact action for us today, especially since it's Parallax playing today. I'm expecting to see some super awesome plays from them, especially since they're a top seeded team in the Brazil region right now.
Yeah, but I mean, we can't count out Carnage though against them.
True.
Both of the top teams, I would say, in Brazil in the previous phase, them and in control, the three of them, Parallax, Carnage, and In Control, were the ones fighting for the top. Ignite now kind of coming in and keeping everything really close, I would say, but at the top, Parallax do seem to kind of have this lead be extending though, even with the loss of FRZ. Having Spexy join the team has made them look crazy, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
they have looked unreal. I ever since making that change, not because FRZ was holding them back, because obviously I don't think anyone would ever say that, but I think Spexy was just a perfect fit for what they wanted across the board for their team. But let me take a look here at this, see how prepared they are for each other. Carnage are going to be the ones with the first pick. They lost the coin flip in week 1, so they're going to have the first choice here in this rotation of things. It looks like Carnage banned Splitstone Quarry and Jaguar Falls. So an interesting like two standard maps they're getting rid of. So to me, I think they want to target something specific from them.
Right.
And the ban from Parallax was Bazaar and Warder's Gate, which kind of almost always end up in that section of it, I would say. But we're starting this game on Shattered Desert of all places. That's where game one's going to be a wide map, very similar to what was banned by Parallax. The Bazaar and Warder's Gate, both wide maps. Warder's, I think, enabling a little bit more of that brawly style of play, but still, where Carnage want to go, they think they can target out what Parallax have, and we'll head right into picks and bans to see if they're right about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, only time will be able to tell truly what they're planning on the side of Carnage Gaming, because the Shadow Desert, like you said, you have a lot of those longer angles that you have to play, and of course, Shaolin, the respect ban, don't want to make Spexy too comfortable on this pick here, as you have Shaolin and Strix are gone. They get rid of one of the snipers, but Parallax opt to change things up a little bit by getting rid of the Ash and the Atlas.
Yeah, so double off tank ban, almost like we didn't leave EU. Honestly, it kind of feels like we're still over in the European region, but this first pick looks like will make us feel the other way. Corvus valued over that Genos not being picked up at all so far. Parallax now can take it here. They could go Genos and DPS if they want. I think that would be a good way to start things off on a map like this, when you can play kind of your wide angles and poke out. But it'll be Bomb King on Shattered Desert, which is an interesting one for me. Not normally a pick you love to see on this map. It can do okay. There's some spaces that it can control well, but I feel like you can just get outranged a lot of the time on a map like Shattered. And we'll see if they end up with a decent backline to kind of supplement that.
Well, it seems like they're going to start things off with the front line instead. They want the Inara to themselves, as Parallax Gaming once again have locked in their Bomb King first, their Inara second. So you've already got a great DPS lineup and a good frontline lineup as well so far. But I agree with you, Krez. I mean, I think picking the Bomb King here on a map that is so wide like Shattered Desert can pose a kind of big issue for him, especially if Carnage lock and Corvus and Genos.
Yeah.
That's pretty huge on the side of Carnage Gaming.
I'm sweating, honestly.
Yeah.
If I'm that
I
right
would be
now.
too.
Corvus Genos, I mean, pair that with any DPS in it, and it's going to look good. Cassie will do perfectly fine, I think, with that combination of pocket supports for them. But Parallax, they get rid of the Xin. I mean, Xin would have been a fantastic pairing with that as well. Xin to execute the Inara with Guillotine and just doing extra damage and getting all that lifesteal that he can constantly cleanse the Cauterize of. Corvus Genos is one of the best pairs with that. So now we have to see if Carnage are going to, what point tank they're going to end up taking. I think you can take kind of anybody with a Corvus and a Genos, so they take Rom so they can be aggressive, but now they need someone who can actually kind of, go with this Rom and make that room instead of playing him a little bit stationary. And it'll be Buck. I feel like they're kind of lacking that explosive trade potential, right? I feel like I want them to have a more explosive carry level flanker, but they go with the Buck instead. He'll stay alive, and at the very least he'll slow down the Xin.
Yeah, and I think that might be what they're opting to look for here in their draft. And with the Genos, I think you'll have enough burst on the side of Carnage Gaming so far. I mean, I think that might just
Interesting.
be what they need, but they lock in the Androxus, and I can understand that. They don't really have anything to deal with his verticality. Both of their DPSs aren't really going to stop him like that, especially when he's up in the air and will be most of the time when he uses some of those nether steps. So I enjoy Parallax Gaming's comp, but I think Carnage have just the better draft here. I mean, you got both pocket healers, you got Corvus, you got Genos, and you have great DPSs and some very survivable front lines. So I don't know. I can't really complain against Carnage's draft right now.
Yeah, I think I feel about the same way. I'll head into game to see what loadouts are going to be supplementing that right here onto Shattered Desert. Look at this. Standard across the board. No bounce house, so not even making the buck be played in this kind of carry potential way. You know what I mean? Having that ability to delete someone from the map. Luminary, I think everything's normal there. Rashao on Genos is something I really haven't seen much before, but going to be seeing it here today. And no guillotine. I thought that would be kind of helpful for the trade, but the double pocket might be able to help them survive through that. Everything else being standard. But I want to see what this Bomb King does. I mean, it's shattered. You don't normally see him on this map. He can control some space as well, but again, he can just get ranged. But Carnage didn't really draft for that. They didn't draft for as much range. Cassie's really all they have in that lane, and Rashao isn't even on Luminary. He's on Void Grip Cripple? I'm not exactly sure why.
I'm not too sure either. I mean, I guess they're just worried about the double flank dive that they might have on the side of Parallax, but only time will tell whether that will actually end up being relevant or not, as one of them already seems pretty low on the side of Carnage Gaming. That's going to be the Genos that goes down next. As now Midtow once more, as he moves in almost instantly. That Speed Spheres is going to keep him moving on forward, as three members on the side of Carnage Gaming have now depleted whatever resources, whatever abilities they've had to try and see if they can hold on for a little bit longer. A Parallax go down, and it seems like not Parallax, excuse me. It seems like Carnage goes down, and Parallax aren't going to give it up anytime soon.
The grip does actually end up getting them a kill here, but the problem with this build is that it scales really badly. It scales awfully when you don't have that, when the resilience gets brought up on the other side. But aggression early right now. Scooter coming in after losing the point, and they catch a Spexy from behind, and they get the buck another kill as well.
Well, whatever it is that's remaining on the side of Parallax Gaming has to back up now. They have to give him a little bit more respect as Ram runs right on in. And is actually going to be able to find that pick directly on the Outlander. He goes down, and now the rest of Carnage Gaming feels needed to push forward if necessary. With 2 minutes remaining. They'll have plenty of time to hold on to the zone, just trying to burn that timer so Parallax can't get back to cart. And Ares is finding plenty of shots into the Androxus, but isn't going to find the kill. They actually find that first kill for them. And even though he gets ulted, Ram is going to go down soon after that, but a little bit too late, as most of them seem to have gone down inside of Parallax Gaming. Zen has to respect them a lot more and back up. If he's going to go down, that's going to be a pretty big stagger for them.
Yeah, look at this. Carnage is just still in their spawn. I'll take a look at the Buck POV. He bulks up right in front of them. Can't kill Kronz, though. Keeps himself alive thanks to the wall. So Parallax might be able to get on the cart for the first time in a minute and a half. Almost two. As they do manage to get on here. I think they're going to see what they're willing to spend. If they are willing to spend anything to get this cart rolling. Maybe they can use one of their CC ultimates. They have quite a bit on their side here. It is the Dread Serpent that gets used early just to catch Ares out, but they need to get more than that as Outlander kind of accidentally throws himself into the enemy team.
Well, they already plowed through one. It's now Seismic Crash is what's going to start things off for them. Or not really. Use the Seismic Crash. There's not going to be much that comes out of it as Void Grip on Inara gets utilized. Soon Genos goes down. After that, same thing can be said for the Bomb King that just killed the Genos, as Crimson is going to avenge his fallen comrade. Now the rest of Parallax Gaming have to wait a little bit longer to make their way back to Car, and they are going to be able to find that. Ares is going to go down on the side of Carnage Gaming, but Parallax Gaming are holding on pretty well despite that. They just want to make it back to Car if they even can.
They should be able to, with Midtow cleaning up 2 kills. Crimson and Rashao, the last ones there, will have to back up, waiting for their other respawn. The Scooter being that late of a death will make it a little bit harder for them, I think, to get this defense going. But there's a long way for the cart to go. They have plenty of time for Scooter to set up, get timed with Bishop over here on this Buck, who's actually already dueling. Look at this high grip on Dintic. No Resil yet means that Power Cosmium will be effective. They're still kind of playing in the back line, and the cart is relatively uncontested. Midtow's running wild back here.
Still running the cart forward for the most part, as now it seems Carnage are at least able to fight things back and cause an overtime to deplete, as now they've tied things up 1-1 on the side of Shadow Desert with all 5 ultimates up and no one having had to use a single one last round.
Yeah, Carnage didn't have to use it. They're on defense, though, and they have a comp that just kind of brawled out and ignored everything else, basically. And Parallax is still waiting for theirs to recharge. The Accursed Arm, the Seismic Crash, the Dread Serpent, none really going to be up for a little while for them. But they're topping the damage charts right now. No damage boost needed. They're just getting fed a little bit by this ROM on the other side. Looking at this. Did he swap to Bounce House? Am I crazy? No, he's still bulk up, even with the Leap DR. Definitely aiming for that sustain game. No other changes late that I wasn't able to notice other than Rashao's here, who isn't even fully stacked into it, just running base CD max, not playing for his healing at all, purely open for that cripple, which again, once they get resilience, it is going to fall off.
Ultimately, Carnage want to take the fight to them this go around. As they move all the way into the back line, they find one. Dintic gets Void Gripped up, but thanks to that cripple on the talent, he's not going to be able to escape with the Nether Step. Zen is there, but is going to get taken down by Ares the minute he steps out of that billow. But 54% for Parallax Gaming already is a great look for them. As of course, Nara's going to go to point and try and die immediately. That's going to be all she wrote for the front line.
How Parallax can get in, I'm not really sure. They only had one tank, who is not the most mobile. It's probably going to have to end up being Mitau, billowing past that Genos. Genos is going to be a big kind of wall that has to stay in the way. But now this Void Grip, oh, that's a 5-second cooldown on that. I didn't realize that's how this build really works when you sacrifice your healing for this. But time and space not being used quite yet. Dintic is just getting combo gripped. It opens up one pick. Time and space doesn't hit, but this King Bomb might be able to find something.
Mitau and Dintic go down, and just the King Bomb rolls right on through. Spexy finds himself in a bad spot with 136 HP still remaining. Seismic Crash gets used on point, but no one else is really there to try and capitalize on what seemed to have been a good ultimate from the Inara. Kronz is gone, but only for a few more seconds, as now they want to make their way in. Dread Serpent gets utilized, and they are going to be able to find that. Dintic and Spexy are going to find one apiece, as now Dintic goes down. But of course, Buck has to try and find a way out, but he can't. He's going to bulk up directly in the face and see if he can try and stop them from doing anything. But he's not long for this world either, as the percentages rise to 99% to eventual point conversion.
Yeah, they're able to get it. And I just tried to swap to Mitau, but he got gripped again. Rashao is making it work with this for now, but again, resilience. See if they end up buying it with all that CC on the other side as well. Spexy, though, constantly getting the better of Bisho on this Buck, just always finding him with these stickies and the long-range damage. When you get hit bombs like this, I guess there is no reason to complain about running BK on Shadow Desert, right? The whole thing is, oh yeah, you don't have as much poke, but it doesn't seem to really matter for Parallax right now. Look at this, the Genos and the Buck on the, just on the hunt over here, running for Dintic. This duo finds him with this. Dintic still doesn't have any resil, so he's gonna die.
Yeah, that Void Grip goes up. And of course, that Androxus cannot escape, probably at the time that he wants to. Scooter is still alive, tries to see if he can sprint to get out of there, but is going to get taken down before that takes into full effect. Counter goes up from the Zen, and a very great wall from Inara is going to keep Buck from diving in and finishing off her teammate. With 1 minute and 25 seconds still remaining, we have to see how Parallax will be able to adapt to the situation and see if they can even roll this cart in against Carnage Gaming.
Look at that cleave from Yomi, though. It's doing a bit of damage if they end up staying stacked up. He's always finding 2 with it, but Bisho flanks on the side. They don't really see him there on this Buck. Waiting, and now this is the engagement from Carnage. Scooter running straight through all of them, but knocks him out of the Void Grip. Less value from Rashao now, but he's in the middle. They're just ignoring him. They can just look forward and collapse on the rest of the team, and that's what they're doing. Just ignore the Roam and fight everyone else.
Seismic Crash to be utilized up on the high ground now. Genos has to find a way out, but I don't know if he'll be able to live for much longer, as Spexy wants to be able to move in, but Buck finds that pick, and that's going to be a great triple kill for the Buck. He's just been sort of playing around his team the entire time. That's a quadra kill. Will he be able to pick up the Penta right now? Nara is the one that has to walk directly into spawn, and he's going to be a selfless person. He's going to be like, you know what, I got the quadra, I'm okay. I'm going to go ahead and give that one to my boy Ares, and they're going to be able to have some more credits in the back pocket. So 25 seconds on the clock. Don't know if Parallax will be able, they should be able to retouch. It's a matter of when they will do it, determines how dire the situation is.
I liked how they did that. I liked just ignoring the roam. I think that was a really heads-up play to make. But, oh, bouncy gourd, unfortunate. Doesn't let Outlander get healed in time. But look at this engagement. They want to push in. Time and space will counter it partially. But Rashao's too far away to do anything with the power of Cosmium. Oh, that Legendary not really doing much right now. And they trade another kill. Both flankers might just fall to this pressure. Crimson just chips them from across the map.
Crimson finds 2 last hits for himself as Inara is still waiting patiently onto the cart, but he wants to move in. They might even use the Entropic Breach to do it, and they will. Now, the Inara has to back off a little bit easier as Kronz goes down. Soon after that, you've got a 2-2 tie already for Carnage Gaming. It seemed like Parallax had that one in the bag, but this is a pretty hard back and forth right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for Parallax to break through, but it's also... it's hard for Carnage to survive in these engagements. Parallax, they're losing to the respawns. Carnage, though, they're fighting tooth and nail for this. The only one who's really, I think, thriving in this chaos is kind of Bisho on this Buck. I feel like he's kind of just... he's just vibing wherever he is on the map. He's so hard to kill from them. They keep spending CC abilities just to stop him, and not enough. Finally, though, Resilience is coming online for these DPSs. Dintic with Resil 2, Mitao with 3. Once Dintic... he might actually wait and spawn for that third point of Resil. I'm going to hold and see. Nope, he just doesn't want Resil 3, even though he can afford it right now with them mounting out. Thinks it's not going to be a problem, but again, Buck and Genos have been moving as a unit, cleaning up anybody that's stuck in their way.
Seems like they want to try and move together once again, especially with that Void Grip. Makes it hard for Dintic to try and escape from the scenario, as now Scooter jumps all the way into the back line. Just so much aggression too. Reversal goes up, but Aspexy has already found himself a nice little double kill as the ultimate gets used on Buck. Aspexy finds himself a nice triple kill instead, as now Rachao has to retreat. Tons of damage into his back. So that's going to be hard for him to not only re-peak, but make use out of that Void Grip talent that he seems to want to choose for right now. So 60% for Parallax Gaming, as the percentage is still going to keep rising.
We'll see how they do this refight. Rashao's waiting on the side, and Ares is pinching right now, so a surround is happening, but who will actually go down first? Mitao has the Resil to escape, and Buckwild kind of finds nothing with Bisho having to disengage.
Buck almost ends up dying, and he does actually. Mitao does find that pick immediately onto the Buck, and that's going to be huge for them, especially to use the Buckwild to see if he can try and commit to a kill against Parallax Gaming. But Ares with a nice little double might be enough, as now Rom runs his way to the back line. Cassie has no health. Ares is dead, and now there's only 2 of them still remaining. Chao's going to go down next, and as he nether steps himself out of line of sight, Parallax Gaming are going to capture their 3rd point.
Now we'll get back into Mitao's POV, but the combination of Ares and Rachao almost made that work, but they just didn't have the health pool, I think, near the end to really kind of continue trading into that. But Carnage want to engage. They have the first pick. Scooter is just sprinting straight through them, making a ton of space. Aspexy might just go down to this. He's so pinned in the middle, and Crimson will find that chip damage kill.
Ooh, not only will Crimson find his kill, but Buck will find his as well. Now the Void Grip to Nara is going to go down, pretty much served up on a platter at anything. The 2 minutes still remaining on the clock, of course. There's plenty of time for them to see if they can make it back to the point, see if they can keep on pushing forward. At the same time, Scooter might try and go in here, and he's going to sprint full send into the enemy's back line, and they're able to find a kill off of it based off of the Entropic Breach as well.
I think this is the best look for Carnage we've seen on the defense, though, so far. They've lost every mid, but they've always been kind of holding around their side of the map, but here they are at Parallax's spawn, keeping them held back. But this is actually going to be tougher for them, I think. They need some space to get behind them. I feel like the fights they win are when they manage to surround them, and they can't really do it when they're stuck in there. Now they'll try with Scooter piercing into the middle of them, but when Parallax can just focus on one lane, they're going to kill somebody, and that someone's going to be Ares.
Mitao goes down. Same thing for Scooter, as he tried to move into the back line and can't quite find the kills. All he does is find himself dead and playing Gray Screen Simulator for another 5 seconds. With 60 seconds on the clock, however, that means that now Parallax don't really have that much time to fully push this towards its final resting place. As Ares is over here posted up on the side, seeing what damage he can find. He might be able to find enough, but at the same time, he's going to miss most of his shots. Now he wants to move in with Scooter all the way into the back line. We have them outdone, but not really being able to do much. Gorik is tossed down, and he's been healing the entire time. As soon as Ares rounds that corner, he gets taken out. Same thing for the Scooter as well. 30 seconds remaining. The clock is steadily whittling down. A quick pause from Ares, though, as everything tries to get itself sorted out. And I mean, I've seen Scooter dive into the back line. I've seen Buck and Genos play together as well, trying to put a lot of pressure onto whatever back line they can, whatever squishier target that they have. And in most situations, that's going to be the Maldamba. But how do you adapt to this situation, Kresnik, if you're on the side of Carnage? I mean, they're losing pretty much every point fight.
I'm not sure. I think just find the kill faster, I guess. It's hard to say, but they have this dive composition. They're diving. They can't really slow it down. Maybe let Parallax get out a little bit instead of having you fight that super early. Feel lucky they got that kill. And actually, wait, this might be a little easier for them. Dread Serpent doesn't find anything here. Literally, Bisho does run away. Does eventually fall to Kronz and Aspexy near the point, but this ultimate might be something that Parallax really wanted for the next fight, and they should be able to get this. Plus, a King Bomb's being committed too.
Time is being a factor now, and I don't know who else it is that can really touch onto the point, especially when Dintic goes down like that. Cataclysm in the very, very beginning of that fight to see if he can start anything, but all the King Bomb does is eat it as the Entropic Breach gets utilized to try and contest onto the objective. They do step right back onto it, or I should say Aspexy probably bombs himself right on, but even at the same time, they can't stall for much longer. Carnage Gaming find themselves at a 3-3.
Lots of ultimates getting spent that I really did not expect to see come out. I mean, King Bomb and the Buck Wild, and 4 ultimates from Carnage. I thought, man, their ultimate economy is going to be the way that they can turn this final mid around, maybe. But now advantage to Parallax in that court. They have Kronz with the Seismic Crash, Midtown with the Spite maybe not as important on a map like this when you don't have Guillotine. But it could at least slow down Scooter, catch him mid-run, and help save Outlander a little bit more, considering Outlander has been struggling the most. Outlander top death on the team right now. 16, it looks like, for him on this Maldamba. Really kind of getting bullied. Interesting build. I want to make a quick note. Eerie Presence 2. That's confidence. That's the you only put that below 3 when your ego is massive. I'm gonna be honest.
Right.
When you really don't think you're gonna miss, and there's a miss now. Let's hope that doesn't hurt them in the end.
Kronz is going to find that first blood on this round, as now Scooter is all the way once again in the back line, seeing what he can start here for his team. As 27% is available for Parallax Gaming. They've been capping the entire time, while Carnage Gaming have been focusing more so on the fighting aspect of their draft, as now they force so many people out, they can move their way back to point with no Earthen Guard as well. That's going to be hard for Inara to live for very much longer. As soon as the Void Grip goes out, that might be curtains for her, and it is, as now Carnage Gaming are the ones in the drivers.
Yeah, Scooter, wait, did Dintic just dash into the fire on the top of the right side of the map? There's no way that would happen, and Bisho and Rashao getting so aggressive right now. Buck and Damba getting totally zoned with Kronz coming back, but Scooter got the dismount. Kronz might have made it back in time to touch, but he's taking an off path, and he might not make it.
It already seems like he's trying to make his way back with his Red Serpent, though. That might be the initiation they might need. As Scooter is now here, still contesting on point. They trade out 1 for 1, but the bigger trade is for the healer, as now Zintic and Aspexy go down soon after. Inara, no DR, means that she's going to be in big trouble, especially when you get Void Grip like that right over the wall that she tries to put up to peel for herself, and that's going to be all they wrote for this map. As Carnage Gaming going to take this over Parallax.
Even with Brazil 3, the grip actually ended up working at the very end. He tried to dash in, but he couldn't because of the cripple. Normally you just dash out of the Void Grip, but Paracosmium really paying off, it looks like, for Parallax. And it was an interesting choice. Just pair it with that Buck. I don't want that damage boost. I just want that CC to win those fights, and ended up really enabling that Buck. So Carnage Gaming 1-0 right now against Parallax in this set. Oh, look at the stats, because hard to believe with how both teams have been looking that Carnage, even if it was a close game, they really fought him close. Big damage, though, for Aspexy and Mitau, both out damaging the top damager on the side of Carnage, which was Ares on that Cassie. I think the backline topping would not be too surprising, as healing was pretty evenly split too. But again, Genos, he was not specced into anything that would help him heal. That was all CC, all grip. The damage was low, but I'm sure the assists are going to be astronomical.
Yeah, 184,000 damage as well from Scooter. I mean, you take all that damage, and it's hard to argue whether he's doing his job or not. Even still, Midtow, Aspexy on the other side, despite them losing, have 139k and 116k respectively. Is there anything that stands out here to you in terms of loadout, items, any sort of the KDs on either side?
I will say 45 assists and 10 kills for Crimson, which is kind of wild. He was part of 55 of the deaths that happened on the other side, and I mentioned earlier, Outlander really struggling. He had 17 deaths. He top deathed in the game on a support. Damba, I guess, easier to overwhelm than I think expected on Shattered Desert. Even though you have that long range heal, sometimes you just can't survive a team that's diving you like that. When Rashao and
Right.
Misho walked in, Outlander couldn't make it out. He had to go for that Brazil later, and that was probably what ended up getting him caught out most of the time.
Right, exactly. I mean, even still with the with the deft hands that Maldambo is able to purchase, I mean, you have those resiliences, excuse me, that come online, make it that much harder to stun and for Maldambo to get any value out of that item that he purchased. So hopefully this time around, we'll see if Parallax can try and shape things up. I wouldn't doubt it because they are the first seed for a reason. But congrats to Carnage, man, being able to take a game off of Parallax. That is not easy, especially with the people that are on Parallax's team.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, they've been able to do it before, just not so far in this phase, and we'll see how things look on map 2, which I'll let you know right now is Bright Marsh. So Parallax, after getting taken down a peg on Shattered Desert, they said, all right, well, let's just go to something more standard. I know that
Right.
they were looking to ban something standard, so we will
Right.
aim to play there ourselves. Once I make sure I hit the right button to make everything say the right thing, I'll bring us into the picks and bans here on Bright. Well, I have the team scores backwards because I did it before I swapped the names, but Carnage up 1-0, and Parallax now on their map pick will have to figure out how they're going to recover.
Yeah. I'm not really too sure how they'll be able to recover from this one. I mean, maybe just making sure they have that sort of damage to stop that ROM this time around. Maybe they need to stop him. I mean, Scooter was on a tear in the back line a lot of the time, but having a Yomi Zen is definitely not the type of thing you want to see, especially if you need to burst down that frontliner that was playing so aggressively into your team. ROM is going to be the first ban on the side of Parallax Gaming, though, so they've learned their lesson from last time on Shattered Desert. And of course, Carnage are going to give that respect ban to the Shaolin because the Spexy is on the other team, and you don't want him on that character.
Yeah, I mean, Carnage played with the Spexy last phase. They know how good Shaolin is, so they're just not willing to they don't want to see it. They don't want to see it anywhere.
Right.
They don't want to see it on the draft. They want to see it at the bottom and then put a piece of paper over their monitor and not even have to look at Shaolin's face for the rest of that time.
Right.
And Parallax here giving themselves the first pick. I want to see what they prioritize. I mean, Vivian's open. Both of the pockets are open. Inara's open. There's a lot of different directions they can go. They'll take one of the pockets. They'll get Corvus for themselves. They want that mark, that lifesteal, that speed. All those things that I think are quite valuable. With Geno still up, I would definitely expect to see that going here for Carnage if that's the direction they end up going. But it'll be Xin instead. Xin, Guillotine will be valuable on this map. It just was great. It was great for Parallax last map, so Carnage get it for themselves on another map where it can be successful on.
And it's definitely a character that they seem to be comfortable on as well. But Zen and Inara are going to be locked in on the side of Carnage Gaming, so they have a very strong front line and a very strong DPS currently, or I should say flank, in the form of Zen. Parallax are going to try and even things up and making sure they have that Corvus pick and that Androxus soon after. Fernando is a take that Parallax Gaming are going to go with. Zed Immortal is going to play a huge role and counter out the seismic crash as well, stop the engages that Carnage Gaming might try and force onto Parallax. So that being the case, it seems like they have a very strong draft on the side of Parallax so far.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I like the Corvus Andro. I like the Nando point tank. I think he's better than Barrack. Again, less damage, but that's not what you're looking for in a point tank on that side. But Carnage right now, they have something solid too. They have double flankers. They have Damba paired with Inara, which is a great combination. I think a classic one at this point, those speed spirits to let Inara run 25% faster. Definitely not something you can really ignore. But there's still quite a bit open. That buck that we've seen valued a lot in Brazil still available, and it's going to be Vivian.
Oh yeah.
Looks like going first for them. So the fourth pick Vivian, pretty deep rotation, not where you'd expect to see her going normally. See what else accompanies. It'll be Buck. So a lethal comp for Parallax in response to what they have, but we can see what Carnage end up pulling out to fill out the rest of their draft. They could go another tank. They could pull out what's left. I mean, Ruckus not great here. They kind of banned themselves out a little bit, I think, with the Ash ban. It could have been something that they value here. And they'll go a third DPS instead, something that we're seeing kind of... BR just seems to be like one patch behind. Because BR was running double tank. They were running like end of 2019 meta last phase, and now that we're here, phase 2, 2020, they're like, wait, people are playing triple DPS now? What? That's crazy! And that's
crazy.
all we
It really
that's
do
all
feel
we're
like that.
seeing from them
Yeah.
anymore, honestly, especially these top teams. But double, triple DPS on a map where it can work, but I gotta say, I don't think I can really side against a Vivian on Brightmarsh. Even with an Eevee on the other side, just run high enough scapegoat that you just live through the dives.
Right, exactly. And that's going to be pretty big in its own right, especially when you have to worry about making sure that Vivian is dealt with as heavily as possible, because we all know what happens when she can just free fire without being contested. But Buck and Androxus have something to say about that on their teammates' side. So they have plenty of peel to make sure Vivian stays alive. It's a matter if Carnage will be able to execute in time to make sure they can actually play their draft to the best of their ability.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what they decide to do with their double flankers. I mean, both teams have double flankers, so it's going to be kind of probably one battle by apartments and one battle on top of the point. Maybe one by pit. We'll see where they end up playing. We do have the game ready and able to be brought into, so let's do that for you guys right now. Spexy, the one piloting this Vivian, and not even running booby trap, which is what we're seeing in most of the other regions. We're seeing opportunity and chaos, which I don't know if I love into their comp. It's great into Inara, of course, but I don't really like it into the Eevee and the Xin. I feel like you can get a little bit more out of booby trap there. Maybe he'll switch a little bit later. Scorch also a solo tank Nando for Kronz into a double flank composition when you're not really going to get many lineups. We'll see exactly how that ends up paying off for Kronz. We see him run it all the time, but is he still running shield cooldown? We'll see this. Nope, no shield cooldown at all for solo tank. I guess running it just with a little bit of extra poke against these flankers.
Yeah, it seems like this could work out for them potentially, but let's see how everything starts off first. Who will be the first blood? Will it be Parallax or will it be Carnage? The shots are being fired, and it does find its way into Anar quite a bit. Ares does not want to forfeit the space it is that he has over here on the side. Plugging in more and more damage thanks to that flaming sword. Has to use the billow to escape, but isn't really going to escape. He is now, as he uses that whirlwind to get out with 12% on the side of Carnage Gaming.
Pretty even fight so far. Now their team really committing. Just now, Parallax start getting their advantage on the objective, but Kronz has to leave and will have to wait quite a while for his next shield to come up. Ares is constantly trying to take this side, but Dintic is winning these trades into him. He needs more pocketing from his Damba, and Bisho loses that duel against Mitau as well. So both flanks lose, and now Parallax, they're going to collapse.
Mintal and Dintic find one apiece. Mintal finds himself his second kill as Dintic finds also another kill for himself. That's 4 members that were down and a couple of them that are currently respawning on the side of Carnage Gaming. So Parallax have definitely shown they've had to control over this mid for quite some time. Gore gets tossed out to see if they can help out Ares just for a little bit longer, and as soon as he gets healed, that Speed Spirit is going to come through, and he's going to see what he can do, if it's going to be anything at all. Might even try out the Fernando, and he does, but it's not going to be enough. He's just going to end up getting killed.
Yeah, I mean, he needs his team to back him up, and we saw where his team was, getting zoned out by Mitau up in the tree. Unable to go anywhere. A full wipe for Carnage and Parallax. Even with that double overtime, they will get this point. One of their strong... They've been good at winning these mids, I think, consistently, but now here they are on Brightmarsh. A very different look, though. It wasn't that contested of a fight, and they lose another one as Spexy. No fight has really gone Carnage's way yet.
Not at all. Spexy and Mitau are finding more and more kills as time goes on, but they're going to put a stop to that one as Eevee ends that streak for Mitau on the Androxus. That's going to be enough. Ice Storm as soon as they come in, but even still, it's not going to be enough for him. All that's going to happen is that he's going to be taken out, but thankfully the Ice Storm is enough to at least get that last hit kill from the grave, and they're going to use the scout to see if they can push forward here as Zintic gets dealt with. He's going to go down soon after that. Now the rest of Parallax have to back up.
Yeah, they'll disengage. They lose a few, but they don't throw everyone away, so they don't give credit and ult charge to Carnage when they might be kind of looking for it wherever they can find it. We'll see how they take this. They have a decent spread right now. A couple people focused on apartments though, and an early push up top. Cursed Arm comes in, finds one, but an air shot by Bisho denies any more value.
Beautiful air shot from the Eevee, but she has to retreat, use the ice block to make sure she can be healed up while she's there. Try to see if she can escape here. It's not going to be able to find that kill though. She may have won on to the Vivian. I guess she just knew there was no escaping that scenario. It's now 4 members are down on the side of Carnage Gaming, with one having just respawned in the form of the Xin. Now Ares has to hold on for a little bit longer while his team comes back. On the saddle, ready to contest the objective.
Kind of surprised that we're not seeing any, like, balcony pressure maybe from Bisho, but they think his poke is important with the seismic crash coming in, but it just hit Kronz, who's alone, and he's just kind of okay. No one follows up. He's doing all right. He'll just dash away. Parallax will reset into a huge death ball on the side, and this might be their moment to engage, but another CC ultimate has to come out.
Good job with the Dread Serpent as well to make sure they can PO for their teammates, but also force the engagement that Carnage Gaming may have been looking for here. As the whirlwind gets used, Ares has to try and find some sort of way out of this scenario. Mitao is going to at least find the kill onto Ares, which is a great look for them. Oh, 20 seconds still remaining. It's a wonder if Parallax...
Let's see what they can do. Dintic now on the left side. Doing some good damage actually here. A lot of that being taken. They run away. Look at Ares right now though, running into him. Could be able to find him as well. Does... Looks like for now with the back of the Bisho. Scooter contesting the cart for a little bit.
Ooh,
He missed
okay.
the guillotine. Why would they spend it that late? Why would they spend it that late on a support? That ult is so good, Fawn. Why? I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. Fawn, I'll ask the Void here, and the Void will not answer back today. I don't know why they would spend it there. There was no one that really would have gotten executed with it. But Carnage struggling. I think for Xiao too. I mean, he's 0-5 on this Cassie. Need to see a little bit more from him in this game, I think, if Carnage wants to be able to stand on their own 2 feet.
Okay, I think now everything should be
I
all said
believe
and
you.
done with my headset, which is good. So that way I'm not stuck in the Shadow Realm forever, because I want to see these games. Let me cast them, please, headset. I would really appreciate that. But regardless, in terms of the spite, I mean, I don't know, dude. You need to be able to hit that. That's pretty important, especially if you've dedicated resources to make sure that you have guillotine as well. That's the type of stuff it is that you need. But 2-0 already for Parallax. Can't really complain too much by him. Now you have 3 ultimates up for Parallax Gaming. Or Chow is going to find that pick almost instantly and uses the Immortal at the wrong time. Just a little bit too late to try and save Mitao. Probably wasn't expecting him to die, but it is going to at least allow them to back up uncontested.
Yeah, I think he was trying to save Mitao, but just wasn't sure when the damage was coming in. Probably didn't want to look, waiting for his call, and wasn't synced up just the right way. I like both flankers fighting Dintic. They kind of needed to fight this Buck, but he's just going to go away, just go to their side instead. But Rashao was waiting. Mitao on the respawn, though, a Cursed Arm doesn't find much other than a kill on the last couple shots on a Scooter.
There we go. Takes one shot into one person and then decides to change targets, obviously. Is the Androxus way. I really didn't say anyone's way. Ares moves all the way into the back line, but gets looked at immediately and pretty much killed the next second. So Crimson is going to try and keep both him and Cassie alive. Because now they have to try and find some way back in, but it's going to be harder to do when you're missing a teammate. And with the Entropic Breach at the gate of your entry, that's going to be even harder. As the Seismic Crash goes out, that's not even going to find a single hit.
Yeah, nobody was trying to slow down the Buck, I think, but they will have a retouch here at least. It will Carnage with the repressure here from the side from Scooter getting on. But I mean, look at this. What do you do? What do you do? Vivian got through the dredge. She's just going to shoot at you all game. Now, no real answer to the amount of damage she has, and the wall doesn't even block her. It just blocks the Nando, so she has to leave, and Parallax maintain control.
Spexy, a wonderful time, a wonderful day in the neighborhood is what I guess I would call this one, if anything.
Hey there,
and
neighbor.
even Ares moves directly into the line of fire of the Vivian for a very brief moment. Even though Kronz is the one that cleans up most of that, another fireball to clean up once again. They've submitted themselves to the point with a 3-0 already. I wonder how Parallax are going to proceed from here, if anything. I mean, they've been doing pretty well, and they have an Immortal up, so they can play as aggressive as they want to.
I mean, Kronz cleaned up on every single pick there, so he's probably rolling in credits right now. But Parallax need to find another point of I think, advantage to really get this going. Look at this dive, though. The Immortal. This is the sync they wanted, but they ran away too far. Rashao, there's no way he wins this. Kronz gets the cleanup, but they trade Mitao for it. With Kronz now, we'll see what more he can do in the back.
Yeah, Kron's just on janitorial duty right now as he has to try and find some way to pick up the low health targets that his team are serving up to him on a platter. Here he spins right on in, and of course, performs like a little bit of a drive-by on his Spexy. Manages to get that hit and moves right on forward. In the midst of still carries him over to apartments where he can still try and hold what he can. Mitao is there with the accursed arm. And no one seems to be over there to contest him. He's still mounted up. I'm not sure if they even really know that. Dintic is able to jump in, get stunned for a little bit, but at the most part is able to live. They use the Immortal almost instantly, I believe. But even at the same time, they have to wait a little bit more before they can even try and hard commit to these next engagements. But thanks to Kronz, they're going to be able to at least have some of their positions still available.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying to buy time for Mitao to come in. Mitao was too far away to really help them engage, but Mitao finds 2. They'll be able to keep moving forward. Here on the far left side, burst damage 900 will help them clean up these last 2, but they died on the cart. It could have been way worse. It could have been so much worse, Vaughn, if they were a little bit further back and not contesting the objective to let Carnage roll it. Excuse me, Parallax roll it up just a little bit more. The Scorched Nando, I just want to look at these damage numbers. Yeah, still lower than the Inara. But he's not dying. He's sitting pretty at a 9 and 2, so working for them so far for now. Right side, though, controlled by the flanks. We still need to see Ares and Visho team up to win fights. That's what's been helping Carnage win engagements, but they're fighting on the opposite side, and that could hurt them.
Yeah, we have to see, of course, what are Parallax Gaming going to do, especially since the clock is now at 10 seconds. Carnage have been doing a wonderful job of making sure that they keep them off of the objective, and every time they step on, they pretty much get burnt down to virtually no health whatsoever. And it seems like for the most part, Parallax want to just sort of chill. Don't want to try and force this engagement if they can help it. They use the Immortal on the seismic crash almost instantly. Inara, excuse me, is already extremely low as Ares ults Mitao on the side here. They're going to have to try and move in, but it looks like they're going to be much more for them as they get a kill. Blinks right on in, but Blinks at the wrong time. Parallax Gaming are going to tie this up 1-1.
Yeah, and that was what a statement to respond with, right? Like, all right, yes, you did barely beat us 4-3 when we won every single mid except the one that mattered, so we'll just 4-0 you.
Right.
They did get Vivian on a good Vivian map. I'm gonna be honest, it was that's a tough one to strike back from when that ends up on the other side. Carnage did their best. I feel like there was some times that looked great, but Parallax were really synced up with those double flankers, and it was just tough for them to overcome. We can take a look at the stats. I do have here for that game. Ares actually ended up top damaging, but really could have gotten more from those ultimates, I feel. A lot of them kind of went into nothingness. The one that they connected almost helped them win it, but at that point they had already lost so many people, it didn't really matter.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to be able to hit those ultimates pretty consistently if you're going to find some sort of value out of that guillotine. Like I said, especially if you're going to pick guillotine over Yomi, you have to be hitting those ultimates consistently enough. And like you said, they found Kronz during one of those mid-fights when the score was 2-0 already. Sure, he was able to hit the ultimate, but there are too many people that had already died around him, meaning that he was one of the only ones remaining, and he just ends up getting killed almost instantly. So hopefully Carnage have been able to find out what might be entirely wrong, or what went wrong, I should say, with that map, and try and rectify it for the upcoming one.
If I had to guess, it would probably be Vivian being pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
it's definitely a possibility, at the very least, for looking at that there. I think Carnage, tough. The flankers, they died the same amount of time, so at least they committed to the same fights together, but that wasn't going to be enough to help them turn the tides there. But next map, Carnage now, they get to pick again, and they've decided to bring us to Stone Keep. So even after banning standards, that's kind of still where they want to be going. An interesting choice, I think, by them after making that decision earlier. But I want to see what they change up in the drafts here, if there is anything different for them, as I get everything prepped for you guys in the picks and bans and in the stats for after the game as well, as I click the entirely wrong thing while I get this set up here. But 1-1, maybe not where we expected this set to be at this point. But I think Carnage, when they're winning the fights, when their ultimates are hitting, they're not looking bad at all. It's just we saw some tough misses. Scooter, we saw the seismic crash not connecting. Everything's being countered by the Immortal after Kronz goes 10s and 2. Just really hard for them to respond. I'll bring us right now into picks and bans for game number 3 on Stone Keep. Carnage back on first pick, and we'll see if their priorities change.
Yeah, I mean, they have to, right? I mean, if it went as bad as it did last time for Carnage Gaming after they had just played so well on the map before that, the map prior, you have to try and find some sort of opening for you to see if that's going to work out for you at all. But Shaolin is going to be the first ban once again. Another respect ban against Aspexy. Yeah, I completely understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I would too, for sure. We'll see if anything else changes. Carnage continuing to ban that Ashe as well. So things kind of staying about the same in that section of it. Parallax on second pick now, and we'll see else they end up aiming for here in Nara. So point tank, I mean, Scooter, they played it. Maybe they don't want to deal with it on this map in particular. We'll see if that kind of changes anything with Carnage. Now, I mean, that's an Atlas that was banned the last couple of games that's now opened for Carnage. So they'll take that. Yeah, why not? Even with Corvus and Genos available, they'll prioritize in that direction. So Parallax now can respond however they want. Genos early for them, so damage boost, and they will want something strong to pair it with. We'll see what direction they go. Could be a DPS, could be they take a point tank like a Nando, someone that will actually work well with that Genos, and it will be Androxus. So vertical flanker, good poke, exactly what you'd want.
Yeah, and exactly the type of thing you want at your back if you are playing Androxus as a luminary buff from Genos, which is already a beautiful start to the draft of Parallax Gaming. Carnage Gaming, though, of course, have that divider to try and stop those accursed arms. You have Buck with this endless sustainability, seemingly, despite the fact that he is a flank, and Corvus only doubles that down, right? So Carnage have that sort of survival comp, if anything. They can sort of take a lot of these engagements if they can fight back against them, and even re-engage on a retreating target of Parallax if they want to, because of how tanky they are. But my eyes deceive me. I believe that is he who shall not be named, aka
I'm numb to
Mr.
it
Headbox himself.
It just happens. Some Barrett gets picked. I see him. My eyes roll back in my head. I know it's happening, and then when the game's over, I wake up. And it's like it never happened. It was all a dream at the end of it. But I mean, they're picking him to go with the Genos. They want damage. They want sustain. Yes. Solo tank Barrack has been a long-term thing in Brazil. We'll get that in Carnage. This time they get the Vivian for themselves, so they have that. What a pick into the Barrack though too. I mean, that's a hard one, I would say, to fight into for that Barrack if they break through the shield. But that Vivian does have to deal with a Strix dueling. Vivian can't really sit in the open for that long.
Well, let's see who they round out the draft with, considering the fact they don't really have another tank. If they want to go that, and they do, it is going to be the Fernando against already Genos, Androxus, Strix, and Barrack. That point fight is going to be pretty strong for Carnage Gaming, considering the fact that they have that 4-second Aegis shield, but Bomb King is going to be locked in last on the side of Parallax Gaming as well, so they can break through that pretty consistently, but that Atlas Divider might play a huge role here into some of their ultimates and into some of their sightlines.
Yeah, I mean, it'll really just slow down the Strix, though, because Parallax could just get aggressive past it if it is big shield, and then he's going to be weak for 20 seconds following, but we'll see as we head into Stone Keep exactly how things end up with the load in. But double tank picked up for them. Vivian, Buck as the DPS. Corvus to back them up. I think that's a smart draft, and for some reason the capital I accidentally put into the Parallax's name saved, even though I didn't want it to, but I think I managed to fix that, and I have, so we can head into game on Stone Keep. Capital P, capital A I accidentally put in, but you guys don't get to see that. Only I do. Here we are. Stone Keep will be the game here. The drafts for both teams locked in. We'll look at the talent. Suspect everyone. If Ares sticks with this, that is really good into dive compositions, but not great otherwise. Booby Trap tends to be more consistent. I'm going to look at this build once I finish hovering over these talents, because I want to know why in the world Ares is going Wrecker Life Rip.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see that too, and it seems like in terms of Nocturnal Metal, I'm sure he's going to change that maybe a little bit later on. He's playing on the Strix, and it seems like a pretty standard a pretty standard build, pretty standard loadout for him. And no, Metal is going to stick with the Nocturnal for Parallax Gaming.
Yeah, that's expected, though. I think Strix running that extra stealth has kind of become the meta recently. We'll see this early push. He shields immediately, but it's not going to get destroyed. He'll get dove, but it actually still reduces the cooldown. 2 seconds left. He'll have that shield up pretty quickly. Maybe I'm kind of underestimating what this talent can do.
They throw out the mine already to see where anybody else is by Church. With the deflector shield, it makes it even harder for them to peek into him. As now they have to back up a little bit more. The divider goes out and manages to block any sort of sight line they might be trying to fire into, which means they now have full control over Keep so far. Tries to hit the rewind, and he does manage to hit it. But at the same time, Ares goes down. Same thing for Scooter. It took him too long to try and find these engagements here. 6% already for Parallax Gaming is not only a great start, but this is exactly the type of play you want to see.
They just couldn't finish. They couldn't finish off the kills. Everyone was barely being kept alive by Parallax, and the damage ended up winning out. With all the picks going to them, their tanks really couldn't sustain, and I want to see how they can get through here. With Bisho already taken solo, probably had to use the recovery early, and he has. Barrack shield in the way. He just got to leave Nando there at least to help him out and make a lot of room. Look at that pressure being dealt by him, but he doesn't see Midtown, it looks like, from the side. Catches him from that, but they don't get the stop on the contest either. Scooter makes it. Parallax will have to play for overtime.
So just going to keep on rolling right forward. Manages to find a nice little hit too. Immediately onto Scooter. Gives himself a little bit of a 360 spin as he rolls out with a King Bomb. Anybody else that may have tried to peek could no longer do that for the few seconds that was remaining for the point to be captured. And of course you have plenty of time to roll this cart right on in. And Spexy is finding plenty of bombs to stick onto his unsuspecting targets.
Yeah, they have a decent ground so far. Aries actually the only one pushing into 2 DPS and a Barrack. I mean, Vivian's good, but she's not that good. They're now falling to this aggression from Dintik, who I have not been spectating enough to show the impact he's been having so far on this game. Bisho will get that kill, but there's no... Never mind. Okay, Bisho apparently also wins that duel, and I can see why Buck got picked up as early as he was.
Well, now Barrack has to reconsider his options as he needs to back off. They rolled up the cart long enough. I didn't think Buck was going to be able to live that any longer. And excuse me, let me rephrase what it is I'm saying. Maybe Barrack won't live as long as I thought he would have, as it actually forced out the through time and space. They have to use Divine Grip to get out, and they actually use the Accursed Arm as well. But the Immortal is what's to look at here. He wants to keep his teammates alive, prevent them from being bursted. But maybe Rachel can't be in the same boat as everyone else. Poppy bombs himself back, and that deflector shield went down almost instantly against Spexy. Does he already have record 2? I would assume if it went down that quickly, yeah, there's no way that Vivian can stand anywhere close to Spexy right now. That makes it so much harder for this talent to get any value.
Yeah, and he'll also do some good damage to the Nando, but Nando's cooldown is pretty quick with or without that. Look at this rewind on the Barrack. He got pulled back in. He will escape, though, in front of everybody on their team, but no one else really ready to clean that up. Both DPS still on their mount and up top. We'll see what Bisho can do to slow them down. Early damage onto Midtown, but just leaves the fight with Dintik. He could take it, but look at this triple DPS stack on top. Trying to fight into them. And Outlander, again, he has so many kills already for a Genos.
He's the one getting all the last hit. He's making sure those kills are secured, not the fact that they are stolen, if anything, as the King Bomb rolls right on through.
Oh, and they saved him.
He does manage to find Scooter almost instantly. And that's going to be a very, very unlucky turn of events for how Carnage Gaming have to try and hold this. Corvus is going to use his ultimate, the Entropic Breach, but everyone's pretty much wiped out on the side of, oh my goodness, what happened there? I believe he got Poppy Bombed off the side. If anything, Spexy is going to find another kill on the Scooter, and that's already a 2-0 for Parallax Gaming. Very convincing on Stonekeep.
Yeah, the early Poppy Bomb sending him off, but Outlander was the one who got the chip. And by the way, Outlander tied for top frag on his team right now, 6-1 for him, tied with Dintik, who I thought was having a massive impact, but Outlander apparently is keeping up with that damage pretty much about as disparate as we thought it was going to be between both sides here. I think the Buck is doing a solid job, though, staying alive through these fights. The fact that Bisho has been, I think, a saving grace for Carnage, but not enough, really, with what Parallax have been bringing to the table.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll be able to sort of clap back against what Parallax have been able to deliver. And a lot of them already with caught 3s online. That's a huge testament and statement to how this game has been going so far for Carnage Gaming and how well it's been going for Parallax. On the flip side of things, Bucks jumps right on in, tries to find his kill, but once again, this is the same scenario we're in before. They try and move in and they don't find quite what they want. Through time and space is going to find at least one of them. So now the rest of them have to try and find a way back out. Buck gets Void Gripped all the way into the back line as well. They manage to exile the Genos, but he's still going to go down. That's a 1-for-1 trade, but for the most part, everyone's been pretty much capping on the side of Carnage.
Fun, I've decided that Barrack is invisible. I've made a decision, because I don't know if you watched that. I think it actually is a conspiracy to make Barrack win more in Brazil, because Rishao totally could have tried to kill Grons there, but just chose to shoot it at an exiled target instead. Parallax now, engagement, King Bomb, spinning around, going for Scooter instead. He was the only one who can, well, I guess, re-trigger that overtime with a Buck Wild coming out as well, but it's right into a reversal, and Midtown's there too. The triple DPS collapsing on everybody.
The 1-2 buck on my shoe with Dintik and Spexy being the ones that provide that burst combos. 57% for Parallax Gaming, as now the percentage will not stop rising, it seems. Does Carnage have to find some sort of way to touch? How much damage did Fernando eat trying to get in? So it doesn't seem like much at all, but that shield is broken, and he has the Immortal at just the right time. Going to give himself enough time to stall for a little bit longer, but Dintic is going to find that kill. Rachao tries to engage in a 1v1 against a Spexy. That's a Bomb King. You're not going to be able to fire into that one very easily. And plenty of the roller skates coming out, making sure that he can dance around on point where Barrack is needed. That's already a 3-0 for Parallax Gaming, man. I mean, Carnage have not had a break since last game.
Parallax are just a map 2, 3, 4, and 5 team, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
map 1 seemed to not be their forte, at least today, with this fight up top. Spexy trading into both of them, but smartly disengages. I don't know if they have the heals for it. Rishao way over peaks that, ends up falling as well, and Ares continues to try to fight this choke point alone and die.
They've got one, but at the most, I guess the question would be, at what cost, right? I mean, you do end up finding one of them to get picked off, but everyone on the side of Parallax has been consistently fighting. And fighting hard, if anything. Carnage have not really been able to find anything. This might be a huge curse of arm if he wants to go for it, but since they killed Mitao, they're going to have to back up. They don't want to concede too much, don't want to get staggered out either. See, like most of them want to hold on. Nether Step is almost up, and he might even try and go for the escape here because of the reversal. So he wants to try and make sure that he can get out with 1:25 still remaining. They have to try and retreat. Rachao can't really peek that angle anymore because of the divider as well. He's going to be okay for the most part. Now he has to use the exile, but the accursed arm is going to be enough, and just as he drops, Dintic is going to find that punch, seals the fate of not only him, but Crimson. Spexy with a double kill, rolling right on in. The king is here. You hear the trumpets, you hear the crowd behind him, as Spexy is going to find one good old king bomb to land himself a nice double kill. And Rachao gets Void Grip. That's going to be all she wrote. Parallax already with another 4-0 on Stone Keep.
Yeah, what tough one. I mean, the ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can say, really.
The Vivian, Ares, I feel like was really struggling with map awareness a lot of the time. Sometimes when he was pushing into choke points, we saw the triple dash, but he doesn't look up, he doesn't turn around, doesn't try to find that Androx is behind him. We see him trying to solo hold choke points when both of his tanks are trying to fight other lanes. Space they can give up that they're not really giving up, and Parallax just continue to say, hey, by the way, we're 5-0. Right. Don't forget that. And they're right. showing us why in the end, the combination of the Dome Shield and the King Bomb, I loved to see that over in the side for them. We'll look at the stats for this game and see exactly how I was about to say how good a Spexy did, but I didn't realize I don't think I was actually ready for what I was about to see. 93,000 damage. Yep. Luminary boosted Bomb King is pretty good as he takes the second least on the team, only not counting supports, only slightly more than Mitao did, and struggles for damage, I think, across the board for Carnage. Buck actually got out damaged by Atlas.
Yeah. And I think that really just comes down to not only the positioning it was that Rachao had, but also the fact that he wasn't really taking a lot of these engagements, that he didn't feel like he could win. If there was a team around him, he would try and push in and be aggressive. But what does Buck do? Buck goes in, he gets in there, he tries to live for as long as possible. But clearly this game, that was not the case. 3-10. Yikes. I mean, that's all I can really say about that one. 4-11 for Ares, 1-9 for Rachao, and the other slash lines on the side of Carnage for Crimson and Scooter are also history. It's Parallax. Kronz went undying that entire time. 22 assists, only 2 kills, but plenty of objective time for him to capture on.
Yeah, I would say so there with these KDs. Kronz, yeah, definitely undying, but I will say again, conspiracy. They totally ignored the Barrack just to make me sad. No, but in all seriousness, Barrack just not being the priority in that situation. They wanted to clean up on their exiles instead of focusing somewhere else. Two different schools of thought for what you do with Atlas Exile, right? Either you take someone out of the fight that would be in it and then kill them when they're up, or you take someone out of the fight and then look somewhere else while they can't be peeled for by their team. So just a minor differences in how you can play differently as that. But map number 4, Carnage Gaming, they need to find somewhere they can really kind of plant their feet down and say, hey, we want to stay in this game. It's going to be Fish Market. Which makes sense. With the Bizarre ban, it's another wide map that they can take us to that maybe they think Parallax will feel uncomfortable on.
I mean, we've seen this set started off with a wide map, right? I mean, Carnage were able to find one on Shattered Desert, right? Another bigger, more widespread map. Maybe this is what Carnage needs to stick to. Maybe this is the answer that they might be looking for, especially if you have it, especially if the first game it was you won on was a map that is played similarly, but not entirely the same. So Fish Market, a map it is that we haven't seen much, but one that Carnage think will be the lead that they need to try and tie things up, or will Parallax be the ones that come out on top of this one? Fish Market can be pretty unforgiving too, especially on the push. Very, very hard to try and push through all of those open sight lines, if anything. But the mid fight, they have to have a very strong mid fight comp, I believe, if Carnage want to try and cement this one.
Yeah, for sure, I think. Or they could just go for a comp that just is super flanky and collapses on whatever backlines Parallax end up picking up. They banned Strix. And, I mean, they could just take Anessa here if they want to play that game, too. I mean, snipers are available, so just go for it, right? Take it for yourselves and see where that brings you. But it's Corvus. They go for the one of the pocket supports. They don't want to give Corvus and Genos to Parallax, and I guess that makes sense, right? Wide map, double pocket support. That's what let Carnage win map 1 anyway.
Right, exactly. So you take one, hopefully Parallax get rid of the other, and they will. They've learned their lesson from last time. They said, no siree, we're not about to have this end up like Shattered Desert, as Leon is going to get locked in on the side of Parallax Gaming. Another wide map, somewhere where she thrives very, very well because of her Q, her default ability. The farther you are away from her, the more damage she's going to hit you for. That's going to be a very huge, that's going to be pretty big as to how these fights are going to unfold. We've got Genos, Leon, Zen so far on the side of Parallax Gaming, with Buck, Cassie, and Corvus on the side of Carnage for right now. So they've got some good damage on the side of Parallax. I mean, it seems like whatever team has really had the Genos has been the winner during the set, because it's so hard to duel into Genos boosted carries.
Yeah, I agreed. It's a tough one for sure. Carnage. Do you think we're gonna see the Mixalazub here? Do you think we're gonna see it?
Maybe.
I mean, I'll tell you right now.
The quad.
No, we don't. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I didn't mean to get you excited. As someone who knew what the last pick was going to be, as I was typing it in, I didn't mean to get you too excited. It was not going to be. Unfortunately for them and Parallax. I mean, this screams triple DPS to me, right?
Yes.
Why not go Kinessa here? I mean, I get there's Buck on the other side, but you can play around that if you're appealed for enough. Vivian instead, though. Vivian will do fine. She will do just fine. Although Vivian on Fish Market historically
has not done the best.
The best.
Yeah.
But you can play around it. You can play around it. You know, you can have Vivian controlling a lane. Just have to be careful to not get caught out completely by a dive from the Buck if they run Bounce House, which they probably won't into the Genos. Genos having the ability to basically hard counter that. Just got to play Vivian to hold down a lane and force them into the other side that they're going to have the Leon watching.
Right, exactly. I mean, hopefully they'll be able to get into the back line easier. The Parallax, I'm sure, will let them, if they even let them get into the back line that effectively, because so far they've been pretty on top of their game. Parallax have really been clapping back super hard, especially how Carnage ended the first game 4-3. But I wonder if this wide map is going to be the answer for them. I'm really not too sure, honestly. I really hope that this is the answer it was that they would need, because Carnage are at least able to take a map off of Parallax. But like you said, you might have been a little bit on the nose about it. It seems like Parallax are a second, third, and fourth map for them as we head right on into Fish Market. And it seems like it's not going to be Deflector Shield this time around. It definitely didn't work out for Ares how he was expecting last time.
Yeah, they know what it can do they can do without it. They're gonna go Opportunity and Chaos instead. But again, it's a double flanker. Tough. I still don't really know if I love it. It is also though still into Inara, so they value that matchup more than anything. Let's see exactly where they end up playing this fight. I think I'm gonna follow a Spexy. Press the wrong button. Don't mind me. Follow a Spexy into this with that Yomi. See if it helps him kind of win these fights, but he's just waiting on the mountain. I think that's a smart way to do it. I think right now at an early Yomi Pierce is going to keep them slowed down here on the left side.
Cassie's going to get dealt with as well, but you already see that everyone else tries to want to respond to Spexy being on the left-hand side here, as they now have to answer his pressure that he was putting onto Cassie alone. Rachel is going to be the first one that goes down. That's a first blood as Buck tries to dive into the back line. Can he make it there? He's woken up using the recovery. Will he be able to live long enough? At least he's able to reload the sword for a little bit longer, as Spexy is going to have to back up for the most part. 90% already on the point for Parallax Gaming. No problem whatsoever is what it seems like, as this is going to be the first point for Parallax Gaming on Fish Market. Well, what went wrong there for Carnage? I mean, they rotated around, seemed to be effective, but they just weren't able to submit a lot of those kills, right?
Everyone was just waiting for them there on that side. They just got
True.
met. They got met, and they stayed committed. They didn't rotate someone else to really contest that barrack. I felt like point time was really going up for Parallax most of that time, but another engagement for them, trying to play into the flank, but when you dive into a barrack, he'll just shield and run away. Barrack can't hold that space, but he can deny you from pushing it any further, but headshot's going to make it tough. As long as Michelle can connect them. Look at Dintic just baiting them around in a circle. Will fall to him finally, but absorbs so much pressure that Midtown does whatever he wants on the other side.
Midtown and the Spexy are able to at least kill the rest of them, while it seems like a couple of them were distracted. A Spexy with a nice, with another nice kill. Inara's probably going to be the next one in line, and she is. 12 seconds on the respawn timer for Inara, man. I mean, they are really hitting the gas right now. There has not been anything they've been able to stop. Enlightenment is going to get used, and that's going to be at 1600 damage. And of course, outplay. You got outplayed, but like that's exactly the meme it is that we've seen before, or at least the meme it was that you posted in the Discord that we're in, Kresnik, where the dude's stretching and he's doing everything. He's doing his calisthenics and he presses one button and you've been outplayed. That's just what Leon brings to that table in the one-on-one scenario.
Yeah, I mean, even after the nerfs, if you just got to use it a little bit differently and still find value out of it. Okay, Rochelle, walk right into the Yomi, waiting for you. Scooter so low on the objective, and Barrack, with the backup of the Vivian, can take it. Are they contesting? Bisho is for a little bit longer, but not long enough, and Parallax, they roll it in for a 2-0.
Yikes. That's my analysis so far on how that first point went. I mean, if I feel like I blinked and it was over, and that's quite the fast first round on Fish Market. That's not, I don't remember the last time I even saw a Fish Market round that was that quick. And it seems like everyone on the side, except for, of course, the healer on the side of Parallax Gaming, is really leading the damage charts here. And I feel like that is a testament to the strength that Genos brings to a composition. I feel like that's why we see Genos get banned out more than Corvus in a lot of these situations, right? No matter what the region is. And I mean, that's a great look for how Parallax have been able to hold this.
I will say, though, damage-wise, he is only, like, 1,700 behind the Inara, which is kind of a big deal. The Genos is doing a bit.
Right.
Outlander on this. I'm going to make sure that I'm ready to jump to his POV if a time and space comes out and potentially connects. Maybe find someone after the jump. Some options for Outlander here on this Genos. They're not meeting them this time, but they're just tapping. But now they're not contesting the point at all, and Kron's able to do whatever he wants. Maybe set up fodder for this as Midnight comes in.
Yeah, this might be it. The through time and space is going to get utilized, but it's not going to find a mark as Rachow's going to win the side fight against Midtown. Buck has to try and find a kill here using the Buck Wild, and he is going to be able to at least find one. I expect he's going to go down soon after that, and Tropic Breach as well, as Barrett tries to at least die on point. 3% is all that Carnage have been able to garner, but they've got a comeback mechanic. If they push forward and they're able to dismount well enough, Parallax aren't going to be able to do much of anything.
I mean, we'll see what they can get away with. You see Rochelle up here. They're disengaging already, though, so I think you're right. I don't think they can make it in. I'm going to keep an eye on Kronz just to see if he can mount pass. We'll go bird's eye view to see exactly how it happens. Seismic Crash doesn't find Kronz.
Oh, he is.
They have it coming in. No, there's overtime. Wait, he makes it still, but he dies immediately for it. I don't think there's any way they trade that fight around.
No, that doesn't seem like it at all. Rachow is in the back, but they at least able to find one. Spexy goes down, but no one else is able to touch on the side of Parallax Gaming. He was at least able to cause the overtime, but like you said, no one else is really able to maximize on that. Wall goes up, but ends up giving Dintic a nice little boost on his way out.
Dintic caught in the corner. Will his team peel for him? Okay, they're back. They're ready for it. Midtown waiting to stop anybody that tries to dive that Vivian. You kind of have to play around her if you want to make her work on a map like Fish Market. But with the point being capped over there, he could just dive Crimson right now and stop the cap. But doesn't want to be isolated from his team, especially with Rochelle mounting back in over here on this angle. Card's close enough now where they can collapse, but Dintic again in the middle of his team will find a ton of damage that the rest of them can follow up on.
We're already a minute and 50 seconds still remaining. Bug tries to move in, gets taken out almost instantly the minute that he shows up. Now Midtown and the rest of the boys on Parallax. Spexy is going to find himself a nice little double kill. Midtown finds one, but everyone else has really been finding a bunch of kills as well, so it's hard for them to make it back to Card. This is a very hard push, a very long walk to make on Fish Market, and Buck almost instantly gets chucked to force out the recovery, so he no longer has that DR that he might be so used to.
Yeah, and they got dismounted early, so they're doing the Game of Thrones shame walk all the way back. Every time I get dismounted by Spawn, I just hear shame. Shame the whole way as I trot as an Anar or whatever tank I end up with. A great wall right now by Scooter, catching them down here. They find one, but they actually traded out. Scooter manages to get the second, but I don't know if we'll find much more. Midtown trades again.
Yeah, it seems like Mattel tries to use the Enlightenment to see if he can find another pick, but they actually are winning this engagement. They're winning this fight, but that might change when you get rid of Outlander and Spexy together. It seemed like they were able to do so much on the push and on to hold their zone, because they were trading out 1-for-1 every single time. But at the end of the day, Carnage Gaming, they have the quicker reinforcements. Their spawn's right behind them, so they can make it there in a timely manner to finish him off. Midtow is going to be the first one that goes down, and Ares wants to hit the gas pedal on this. He uses the Midnight almost instantly, but has to back off. Doesn't want to engage anymore, as Rachao is going to find Dintic.
It's all Ares, I think, right now for them. I feel like he's the proxy to all of this, the one kind of making everything work. Look at this dive right now left. Very low is Scooter, but Ares fighting this time and space doesn't connect either. The cart's still rolling forward. The only one who can test it just falls.
And there's not going to be anyone else that really can. I mean, Zen, of course, will be the one to contest. I was going to say that, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. So, 2-2.
Honestly, Fawn, I thought you were going to keep going higher and higher pitch.
Yeah.
I was mentally preparing to, like, come in about this high, but I'm glad honestly, very glad we didn't end up going in that direction.
I'm glad we didn't either. So
Unlucky. Unlucky.
No.
For that. No, not for that. For what happened.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I was like, really?
No. Unfortunate for them rotating off the point just to get one kill. All they had to do is stay one step back, but couldn't do it. Wanted to ensure that shot was going in and lost track of the objective. Healing still very close between the two of them. Only 862, it looks like, separating the two supports. We'll see if that ends up continuing to be the case, as I bounced through a couple builds just to see what we're looking at here for these teams. Let's see what Carnage do differently. Looks like they're playing on the left a little bit more this time. They have the scout, but Parallax are just going to disengage from where they are, but that's how. Taking damage early, and Ares might find the cleanup.
Push in, be a little bit more aggressive, as 15% is available to them on the point. They use the dome shield, put up the wall, and Inara is able to escape with her life, as now they're engaged in a one-on-one, or I should say a two-on-one on Dintic in the back line. But look at how everyone else has been faring. They've been faring pretty easily. They find another kill in the form of Ares. Scooter tries to make it back to point, but Kronz has something to say about that one. They trade out multiple lives, but at the end of the day, Parallax Gaming are going to come out on top of this mid-fight, as now they have 45% on the point, ready and waiting for them to cap this.
I wonder if anyone can touch. I'm going to, again, go to top down just to see exactly what can happen with Rachao dueling on the side of Spexy now pulling back. They will make it. It might have to be Ares, but it will be Scooter instead, but they lose Rachao early in an attempt to take that other side of the map. But look at this Scooter. Just waiting, hoping his team can help peel him off. They're going to go for Kronz. He will fall the trade 1-for-1, but it's still even.
Yeah, it seems to still be an even fight, just as you were saying before, Kresnik. Scooter has to back off of the objective, and Scooter has no more Earthen Guard to keep himself alive. As soon as Buck jumps in, he's going to get dealt with. And that's another point captured for Parallax Gaming, where Chow just came back in combat roles onto the objective, only to die once again.
Dintic was actually just standing still for a good portion of that fight. The Vivian experience given to us by Dintic on the side of Parallax. Scooter might not want to be pushing this angle this early. Look at this damage he's taking, but look how far back the card is. This is damage he needs to be taking. They're engaging with the Midnight anyway, but Spexy Blade Dance 5s straight out of there. And Scooter now no cooldowns to fight this, but they're not willing to take this fight at all.
Already 2 minutes is still remaining as Ares finds himself a nice little double kill. They manage to even find the pick onto Outlander as well. As now Midtow goes down soon after that. Barrick is there, and they're going to try and stall him out as much as possible, as Rachao is going to find some more extra credits in the back pocket. Now Kronz is gone. Everyone else on the side of Parallax Gaming has to wait for their team to group up so they can try once again.
And Spexy tries to do the rollout, but doesn't make it. You can, so, quick little thing, I'll even free cam for it for you guys, as Carnage managed to hold this defense here. So you can mount and jump off of this fish hook as you roll out, by the way. And you can slip past this choke point. Not something a lot of people know. I actually only found out, conveniently, watching Midtow's stream, knowing that you can do that. But Spexy doesn't make it over the gap. It's an interesting little tech, but it's not the easiest to do, especially when servers eat your jumps sometimes. So they don't make it. Carnage managed to keep holding up front here, and Parallax decided to take the safer way, fight up front, and see if they can get a burst damage pick.
Yeah, already. With about 50 seconds remaining, Carnage Gaming seem to be still in control of the zone as they use a seismic crash in a closed-off area. They traded out and made it 3 versus 3. Barrett manages to retreat. Spexy finds another kill. Barrett goes down soon after that, but for the most part, Spexy is the one in control here He not only found himself a triple, but they've cemented themselves another lead if necessary to make their way back onto cart. That's going to be a great look for how Parallax Gaming are going to fight for this retake.
Every cooldown used by Aspexy just gets your point, but there's no fight happening, so might as well make it. That little bit of chip onto Bisho, forcing him back, and he hears Ares the Prowl, not that quiet, so he decides it's his job now to deal with them, but the counter doesn't get procced. He might not actually end up winning this fight if Ares connects everything. It's still a 1-for-1 little flank duel.
No.
They don't have their healer, and the point still under control of them, but Aspexy just continues to turn the fight.
And that's going to be it too. I mean, they're going to keep on pushing right on in as best as they can. The counter was 1 second off from coming up. That's unlucky for him because it's not going to mean much, especially when your healer's getting run down just like this. There's no one to heal for you. Dintic with a nice little double here. Ares moves into the back, gets void gripped almost instantly. They find that kill, but the health pools on the Carnage Gaming are pretty low. So now Barrick has to do what he can to see if he could cement even more of a lead for his team by finding that kill. He's not going to do it, but Midtown is, as overtime is a factor. The minute they step off of that cart,
They have Dome
the
Shield.
minute that car is going to explode. Yeah, they do actually have Dome Shield as well. Wait, and no one really was able to touch. They actually forced so early. And Crimson actually uses he used the Entropic Breach at the wrong time. When he uses it, he was eating so much damage on the way in. Through time and space is going to go through the ground, and it's going to find Anara. Parallax Gaming are going to take this 3-1.
That was a 30-second fish market push, Vaughn. That was a fish market push in 30-second. They kept fighting the cart. And I don't know why. I don't know why they kept fighting the cart. They kept going in and kind of just throwing their bodies away to try and save that push. But I just don't think it was the play for them. Honestly,
Right.
it was a struggle as they got further on with it, and we'll see if the stats match up to how much of a struggle it felt like for them. Kronz solid in the damage department. Dintic actually above him, but Aspexy was the one who really ran away with it on the side of Parallax.
Real. And I mean, you have 95k in terms of damage, and whether you have that being the story or the KDAs, I mean, you see the fact we saw that Spexy multiple times putting the team on his back. And even if he wasn't the one putting the team on his back, you had people like Mittal showing up, like Dintic, like Kronz, pretty much everyone, even Outlander, making sure that he was even just providing the luminary buffs for Spexy to be able to clutch out some of those moments, or Dintic, or Mittal. And that's just the presence that Genos brings to the team overall. 22, 7, and 8. You can't really complain about that slash line at all, honestly. And it goes to show that that's what we were seeing Spexy doing the entire time, which was just popping off.
I mean, and Zin too in general. You don't normally say, "Oh, Zin on Fish Market." I mean, it's good, but usually you want like more of the long range characters. But Spexy says, "No, I'm good. I'll play Zin. I'll bottom def on my team. I'll top frag. I'll do exactly what I want. And I'll continue to remind everybody that even without FRZ, I am going to be the star for this team that we're going to have to keep talking about, and he will keep Parallax established at the top of the standings, which we have right here. Parallax running away with it in the end. 6-0 still for them, 15 plus minus. Ignite and In Control very close behind them, though. 4-2 for both of them, and the close trades to each other. And Carnage Gaming, 3-3 now, but I think that, again, they're playing above that weight. Still, it's so close in the middle in general for this Brazilian region. Fatal Ambition and Tempest team, we keep seeing chances for success from them, but we never see them really clean things up at the very end and take a win, other than Fatal Ambition getting the win on Tempest team.
Yeah, and I mean, we are that low in terms of the bottom seed. You still have plenty of time to find your way back into the good graces of maybe like 4th place or 3rd place, but you really have to show up as the days go on. Parallax still showing today why they are the #1 seed at the very, very top, maybe only losing maybe a map or two the entire time, but never losing a full set. Still undefeated as far as the standings show. And that's all the matches it is that we have today for you guys. I mean, it wasn't much for EU, but Brazil, hopefully you guys ended up enjoying that one as well. I'm Fawn, that's Kresnik, and I'm very, very excited to end today on a very, very awesome note. Brazil,
PCML.
once again, was very awesome. PCML, all right, yeah, of course. Gosh,
Please.
man, there's so much on my brain. PCML on Monday. Please be sure to tune into that. I'm so sorry. Please be sure to tune into the PCML on Monday. The Paladins Central Minor League. Tune in Tune in at 12 p.m. Eastern to make sure that you guys can catch all of that awesome action for a lot of these new and upcoming teams, these upcoming names that we haven't quite seen in the PPC, but some of those that we quite have seen in the PPC. It's a very good mosh podge of a lot of different players that are going to be there.
I muted myself because I thought you were going to end, so I
Oh,
didn't have to end myself. That's okay. Still, tune into the PCML, as he said, on Monday. Next week on Thursday at 1 p.m. As always, we will be back with more Paladins Week 7 of the PPC then. Can't wait to see you guys there. Hopefully you tune in, and see you next time.
peace.